So again, I was only acknowledging the excellent work that you have done, either in the coordination, which made this meeting achievable, and also for the moderation. So, and since I'm the last, you need to bear with me until having this ended. It's always not, it has two positive and negative parts of being the last one, but I will try to be try to give a very smooth presentation about what we are doing in Jordan in means of the marine conservation. And as you said, my last position was the Executive Director of the Rarian Marine Conservation Society of Jordan, which is an active NGO in Jordan working for the marine life conservation. If I may to start, just to echo what Angela has said, that the marine spatial thing is something requires time and effort to be done. It cannot be done in just a quick meeting or let's say a quick workshop. It will need to invest and it will need a good investment actually in means of the information gathering, in means of the stakeholder consultation, and even in the planning itself. So for the Jordanian case, as you know, that can we go to the next slide, please? So you might know that in Jordan we don't have this rich coastline areas. It's very limited actually, only 27 kilometers over the Gulf of Aqaba of the Red Sea. Although this is a very limited coastline, or let's say shorelines, but it provides Jordan with various access to activities, including the ship transportation, the industrial development, the tourism, and also the fishing, although the fisheries sector is very limited as well because of the limited shoreline areas. And because we have a limited shoreline areas, this has reflected on a high conflict over the available resources, because you can imagine how much interest over the limited resource is there. We will have the industrial interest because this is something very needed to Jordan. We have the port interest, the tourism interest, and all of this, which created really a conflict into that. In order to have a conservation for a representative sample of the Gulf of Aqaba, the government of Jordan, represented by the Aqaba Special Economic Zone Authority, which is the umbrella that governs all of the activities in Aqaba. They have established the Aqaba Marine Park in 1997, and they have equipped this park with a bylaw to ensure that all of the activities that will be implemented either inside the marine park or even in its boundaries will comply to the standards, the environmental standard that was set by ACESA. However, although we are speaking now about a marine park which is conserved, but the marine park is not part of the Jordan National Network of Protected Areas, which was issued by the government of Jordan, represented by the Ministry of Environment. And because of that, the government, there was a directive by His Majesty King Abdullah very recently in June 2020 to put the Aqaba Marine Park within Jordan networks of protected areas and to be declared as a marine reserve. And this is something very important for various reasons. I would say it very quickly that at a national level, you know that all of the countries, they should report to the international community on their success and on their progress of work in nature conservation in general. And I'm here speaking about basically the Convention on Biological Diversity, which urged all of the parties to establish protected areas and to conserve these protected areas for the sake of conserving biodiversity elements and sustaining these, and to ensure equitable sharing of the resources. And also the United Nations framework on climate change, because it's also urged the countries or the parties to report back either in their NDCs or even in the adaptation plan how they are progressing in means of the climate change mitigation and adaptation. And in addition to that, we all know that the protected areas or the marine nature reserve, they have proved that they had twice as many large fish species, and also they have proved that they have 5 times more biomass of large fish. And by the way, although again our coastline is very limited, but I'm sure that with the strict conservation, we will have a better biodiversity element. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, speaking about the nature conservation or marine nature conservation, here I would like to acknowledge some major achievements that have been done uh, in Jordan in regard to this. And when I'm presenting all of these, I would say that this is something very limited from the wider context, because we have achieved a lot, and I can say it with confidence. The first thing, you know, that there's something very critical in the marine nature conservation is to maintain the ecosystem services. And when we are speaking about the ecosystem services, we are speaking about various levels. We are speaking about the provisioning services, the regulatory services, and the supporting services, and of course the cultural services. So, taking examples of those, and if we can go to the next slide, please. So if I look at the provisioning services and as an example, and it's always connected with food, as a very clear example about it, we can and if I look to the Jordanian case, there has been a very successful initiatives in Jordan to understand the fisheries management. And this has came from different resources. We have the Marine Science Station with experts in fisheries who have been studying the Gulf Aqaba since 2000, and maybe earlier than the year that I have mentioned. But also there was a very good exercise that have been done by the Marine Conservation Society of Jordan when I was part of this organization. And at that time, in order to understand the whole context and the dimensions related to the fisheries sector in Jordan, we have tend to study three main elements. The first one was about the environmental perspectives. And in this part, we started to study what kind of fish that the fishermen, the two cooperative existed at the Gulf Aqaba, are fishing, and also to understand the quantities, and to understand, you know, the time of the year they are succeeding in doing fisheries, the location, the localities, and all of this stuff. Then we started to do another layer of surveying to understand the social aspects. And when I'm speaking about the social aspect, it's something very critical, because at the end we need to understand, are those fishermen accounting only on their traditional job of fisheries, or they have another, or let's say alternative income of source, of money, because this is something very needed if we are speaking about planning and management of the fisheries sectors in Jordan. So there has been a very detailed study on the socioeconomic perspectives of the fishermen at the Gulf of Aqaba. And the third layer, we have investigated the market. And this was also needed because, you know, as any other coastline region, people will tend to visit this site, to visit to go to the markets to eat the fish products generally. So we thought that we need to understand how much the market can accommodate the fishing that came from Aqaba, and what are the challenges, what are the gaps, how the markets can can see the fisheries sector in the future. So all of this data that have been gathered into this give us more clear picture how fisheries sector can be managed in an effective way and in a sustainable way. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, if I will go to talk about the cultural services, and again, speaking about the Gulf of Aqaba as the only maritime region in Jordan, is something very critical, because you will expect that several tourism and visitors, they will go over there either on the weekend or on the daily, or on a daily basis, to enjoy the sea, to enjoy diving, to enjoy snorkeling. There is an additional layer that we have investigated at the Gulf of Aqaba in the Islamic city of Ayla, and there have been a detailed study on the underwater archaeology. And I listened to Dr. Ziyad when he have done his presentation, and I have learned a lot from his part. I would say that this excavation that have been done at the Islamic City of Ayla has revealed a lot of information to us in means of the the first sunken port that we have discovered under the water of the Gulf of Aqaba, and also it helped us to continue the story between the Islamic city of Ayla, which is on the land, and also how this the shipments and all of these stories have built like a puzzle that we have continued. We have connected. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, if I will look to what Jordan has achieved in means of the nature-based solution, then I would say that basically we are now looking to two main components. The first one is the mitigation part, and here we are speaking about how the ecosystems, the marine ecosystem, can play a major role in carbon cycle, and of course any degradation or any loss in our marine ecosystems will certainly lead to increase in greenhouse gases. And maybe this is also one of the reasons why Jordan is now moving to declare the Aqaba Marine Park as a nature reserve, because at the end we need to contribute to the mitigation and to conserve these fragile ecosystems over there. And the second component is the adaptation component, because at the end, if we have a conserved ecosystem, then we can have a good buffer effect on climate, and we can reduce the risks and impacts of extreme events, such as storms and floods. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So to understand the mitigation part was very critical to us to have the information to know what are the ecosystems that exist at the Gulf of Aqaba, and also to know their capacities to store the carbon, the carbon dioxide. And for that, we have there have been so many studies and research on the either on the spatial or either the spatial level to understand the distribution of the 13 kilometer of the coral reef at the Gulf of Aqaba, and where are the seagrass meadows, and even where are the sandy areas are located. And there was also something more in depth to understand what are the species that exist in the coral reef site and in details. And there was a publication which was issued very recently in 2019 in collaboration with the Aqaba Special Economic Zone Authority, speaking about the hard corals of Jordan, where 157 species have been identified, including 11 endemic species to the Red Sea. All of these data will help a lot in any future, especially planning at the Gulf of Aqaba, because if we know where are these species are located, and if we know what are the threatened species, and where where are the hotspot areas for the threatened species and even the endemic species, then we can have a more accurate, especially planning at the Gulf of Aqaba. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, for the adaptation part, Jordan, as a party of the UNFCCC, to send the national communication reports. And currently, the government of Jordan, they are developing the fourth national communication report. However, I would like to state here that there has been a success story in the third national communication report in means of dedicating a chapter for the coastal areas at the Gulf of Aqaba to specifically conduct the vulnerability assessment. And I was the one who led the vulnerability assessment of the coastal areas in Jordan, and contributed to other sectors. And here you can see from this simple image, and you can, by the way, download this communication report to know more about how these vulnerability assessments have been conducted and what was the result of the vulnerability assessment. But here we were looking to four major climate change hazards that might affect the Gulf of Aqaba, related to the sea level rise, related to the extreme rainfall, which will create floods that will affect for sure the Gulf of Aqaba, the sea surface temperature, and also the CO2 concentration. Why I'm speaking about now the adaptation? Because adaptation is how you will develop your future plan, building on your existing information to ensure minimizing or adapting to the climate change effects. And again, if I will look to the marine spatial planning, I can say with confidence that Jordan, we have a lot of information that can help us to do the marine spatial easily. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes, I just need to remind you that we have exceeded our time, so kindly move a bit faster for that. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So going to the nature-based solution, and you know that it involved generally three kinds of actions. The first one is preserving the integrity and good ecological status, improving the sustainable management, and restoring the degraded ecosystem. Can we go to the next slide, please? And the case of the blue economy, I'm sorry, blue growth, because you know there's the blue growth and there's the green growth. For the blue growth, it's simply the long-term strategy to support sustainable growth in the marine and maritime sector. And here we can investigate the fishing tourism, diversification, and currently ACISA with the support from Jared, they are doing a very good job on means of the legislative framework related to the tourism and I'm sorry, the fishing tourism. There's also the marine protected areas because it can facilitate changing the behavior of people and can generate more job, which will mean that they will have a better income and a better livelihood. There's the blue energy opportunities and also the marine biotechnology. Can we go to the next slide? So more opportunities that have been developed in Jordan, and they can, of course, be expanded in the future, is the opportunities for bioprospecting. And I can say here that the government, the Ministry of Environment, they have developed the whole profile of the Nagoya Protocol. And I have led, by the way, the development of this profile. And we have developed the bylaw, we have developed the institutional capacities and other deliverables that will help to start implementing the Nagoya Protocol. So if there will be any future bioprospecting, this will be linked directly to the Nagoya Protocol and the CBD, the Convention on Biological Diversity, for a better conservation of our species diversity. There are so many opportunities for the local employment, and also having a better conservation will, of course, generate a better, or let's say, new dimensions in terms of the industry, like the diving industry and the tourism in general. And of course, we can have an improved opportunities for research and education. Again, this is, I think, my last slide. And again, I can say with confidence that what is happening in Jordan, the Gulf of Aqaba, is something very unique, because despite of the limited coastline, it is very well governed by ACISA, and there are many organizations like the Marine Science Station, the Marine Conservation Society of Jordan, and of course other organizations whom knows what is their jobs on the ground, and this will facilitate any future, especially planning at Aqaba. I think I will stop here, so Vera will not be angry, and thank you so much.